actually have a question for you, because you recently just you benched 315 without having any pain in your shoulder, which during your career, if you did bench 315, even though that shit would have been light as a feather for you when you were focused on powerlifting, you would have felt something in your shoulder. Am I wrong in that assumption, or am I correct?
Normally, like my shoulder, normally for bench press, I was pretty good. Like usually shit didn't hurt.
Usually shit didn't hurt ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Every once in a while, my elbows would flare up. But yeah.
I was curious because because your movement ability is so much better now. My assumption, and again, could be totally wrong, is that if you chose to be like, you know what, I'm going to go back into powerlifting, non-equipped powerlifting, I want to push some numbers again. I think that because you move better now, your progression through that, you'd give yourself time, but you'd probably end up with some really good lifts, looking better and probably feeling better if you did that now versus when you were deep in it. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're right. I mean, in terms of some of the other lifts, like those would take longer.
Yeah.
The deadlift and the squat would take longer. I'm a little further regressed on those just because I have not practiced much of that in a while. So those would take a while to like build back up. But I could bench 500 pounds in just a couple months.
Oh shit.
I mean, it wouldn't. I've been doing it for a long time. Like I know that the strength is there. Even when I benched 315 the other day, even though that's a far cry from 500, I know that like at least 400 is in there somewhere. And then it would just be a matter of building out like 100 pounds. But you got to keep in mind, I don't have much practice right now on bench pressing. So as soon as I started to practice it, I would have a combination of some muscle memory. And then I'm also down 20 pounds from where I was like just normally. Forget about like the powerlifting career stuff. I was hovering around 240 all the time. And I guess I'm not 20 pounds down. I'm more like 10 pounds down. But I'm working on still getting lighter. So as you're getting lighter, it's harder to, maintain and keep that strength. That's why I was pretty surprised with the 315 for 3, which is something I've been doing since I was a kid, basically. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't like, holy shit, that's super strong. I was just thinking like, that's pretty interesting because I have not really bench pressed in months. Any significant amount of bench pressing that would lead to me holding on to strength but I have been doing other things. I've been doing like push-ups, been doing shoulder work. I've been doing a lot of other exercises. And I actually think that any strength training can be a contributor to other types of strength training. Like we know that a deadlift can help with a squat. We know that a squat can help with a deadlift. But I think sometimes we don't really even realize something like a lat pull down or some pull-ups or something like that could have huge benefit on your bench press. It's not really going to move the needle for you on your bench if that's the only thing you're doing. But in combination with some like push-ups and some other things, I think you'd be shocked. I think like Nsima has been. I know you got like a little bit of an injury when the CT came in, but you were able to move some pretty good weight in a deadlift.
Yeah.
You've basically been just tossing around kettlebells, right?
Yeah. Up until that point, I pulled 675 when CT came. And up until that point, the week before, I just moved myself to pull like 500 just so I could see how that weight feels so I could understand what I'd be able to pull on that day. And the 500 for whatever how many reps I did was very easy. So I was like, there's a 700 there. And then when CT came, I did pull 675. I pulled a little something in my back, but it healed up after a week. And it was fast. Like it wasn't like that was my max. It wasn't my max because of how it moved. So yeah, and the cool thing is that's after not deadlifting for a very long time, but I did maintain resistance training for strength for my body. So, it's also very similar to Dre, who we've had in here, every goddamn Dre. We talk about him all the time too, but he primarily works with kettlebells. Then when he decides to pull the barbell out, he's single leg lunging 365, the Bulgarian split. Like he's doing crazy shit with the barbell.
Yeah, he's strong.
And he hasn't lost that strength. So if he decided to push the barbell, he'd be able to get it very strong with it.
His legs are fucking huge too.
Power Project family, how's it going? Now, we love these fucking legendary tasty pastries, and you already know how good they are, but I want a hot tip for you. I want to give you a hot tip. Number one,
hot heat.
When you eat these things, 20 grams of protein, 5 grams of net carbs, put it in the microwave for 15 seconds. All right, we talked about how it can fit any single diet because it's high protein, very low carb. But if you put it in the microwave for 15 seconds, my fucking God, it will melt in your mouth. I highly suggest you could do this with any flavor, but if you can get your hands on the hot fudge sundae, oh, baby, Andrew, you're the one who put me on this shit, man.
Yes, seriously, you guys have to try this, but please do not microwave it for more than 15 seconds because the inside turns nuclear. But to me, this tastes like an old school chocolate donut for some reason. When you microwave it, it completely changes the flavor and it changes it for the better. But you guys got to head over to eatlegendary.com and at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save 20% off your entire order. Again, that's at eatlegendary.com. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to this podcast.
That's why I think, if you've been listening into the show and you've been seeing some of the things that Mark, Andrew, and myself have been doing, you shouldn't be afraid if you're not competing in powerlifting. You shouldn't be afraid of trying different modalities of training as far as kettlebells or maybe some calisthenics and maybe reduce a bit of your barbell volume. You shouldn't be afraid of losing muscle because you won't lose muscle. You won't lose a great amount of strength, especially if you push another modality for a small period of time. Because it's not like you're going to be sitting on the couch. If you just stopped training and you weren't doing anything, okay, you'd lose some muscle and strength. But as long as you keep something, right, you're going to be fine.
And what's it look like when you pick up a kettlebell and you do 10 reps on one side and 10 reps on the other? It's like maybe you picked up, 50 something pounds, right? Well, just start to multiply that out. You do 10 reps on one side, 10 reps on the other. Maybe you did 3 sets while you're doing something else in between. I think we undersell the value and the volume that you just did. Obviously, if you were to go in and squat 500 for a couple sets of 3 or something, you would be getting more work in for your legs specifically. But that kettlebell work, especially like single leg, like we're just talking about a totally different animal. And Matt Wenning kept mentioning some people that we should have on the show. Eric Cressy being one of them.
I've heard of him.
Mike Boyle, I think, is the other guy that comes to mind. These are people that long ago decided, look, man, let's go single arm, single leg. Like they decided they're not against doing a deadlift by any means. They're not against, at least from what I remember. They may have changed some of their things, but Eric Cressy is like one of the leading guys. He's the go-to guy for baseball. People always go to him for baseball. And even our buddy Jesse Burdick works with a lot of pitchers and a lot of high-level baseball players. And what does Burdick show us every time he comes around? It's usually like some sort of single leg squat torture thing. And we're like, oh man. And we just don't do it because it hurts too bad because we're pussies. But he's been pretty good with that. And that's also why he's got a good reputation as a good powerlifting coach. Because the whole time that we're talking about all these different things, Jesse Burdick has been implementing these things for his powerlifters. He calls, at the end of the workout, he calls it fat shaming. And it's basically a bunch of exercises to keep everybody fit, to keep them in shape. And so he'll have them drag the sled. He'll have them do, Bulgarian split squats, walking lunges, like just stuff that you don't want to do. You might superset a single leg calf raise with a step up or something like that. It's all stuff that like a powerlifter's like, I ain't doing that shit. But keeping some of that stuff in can help keep some athleticism, some mobility, just with fucking getting out of your car. If you're 40 pounds heavier because you're powerlifting, trying to figure out some things that are going to allow you to feel better when you're just walking around is brilliant. The other thing that Burdick is a big fan of is just going for a walk with like a weighted vest or a weight. Grab 10 pounds and go walk a mile. Just a 10-pound plate or a 10-pound dumbbell. It's annoying after you're walking for a little while. You're like, fuck, I shouldn't have brought this with me. but it is really beneficial. I mean, it's just a nice notch above just a regular walk. And if you take it a step further and throw on like a 20-pound weighted vest, you just changed a little stroll, which is still really beneficial and healthy, into a workout.
Peeps, we love bringing you all this fitness information, and we also want to help bring that information to more people. So if you could help us out, hit that red subscribe button and then hit the notification bell, and we'll continue to bring you the heat. And I won't whisper in your ear. Talk to you guys later.